Hey everybody, long time no hear. Welcome to the PSPW podcast. I'm Quote, and I'm joined by Bhris Brown and our special guest, iMightBeAGhost.
Yeah, I'm pretty special. I'm a voice in the PW room, as you should know. If you don't, then I don't care.
So, first off, I'd like to apologize for the lack of podcast last week. Peef was away on a trip, and I was having some technical issues, and there's no way Bhris is going to run a podcast by himself, am I right?
I mean, I can, but I would shoot myself talking about Raw and Smackdown last week, but that's besides the point.
Cool. That's true. I guess we were a bit fortunate in that the material last week was not worth really discussing. So, but we do have quite a bit to talk about this week. Money in the Bank happened, so we'll be talking about that, and of course, Raw and SmackDown as usual, and any other bits of news. I don't think
last week we missed out on.
I don't think we'll have the mailbag this week.
Yeah, we won't, because Peef is the only one with access to that.
So sorry if you guys had mailbag questions that you wanted answered, but we'll try to make up for it next week. But yeah, there wasn't anything too important last week, I don't think.
Omega versus Okada. That was about it.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, we could talk about that if. Yeah, we'll probably be able to talk about that if we have a bit of time, because I have some opinions about that match. But let's get right into Money in the Bank though, just to get things rolling. So, Money in the Bank, I'm not honestly sure how I feel about it. Like, I think I dislike it more than most people, but I'll just get right into the matches. I'll go top down. So, for the first match, we had the Hype Bros defeating the Clones in the pre-show. I don't know if either of you guys saw that.
Nope.
It wasn't anything too special about it. I will say I did like the last minute or so of the match, because they really picked up the pace, and it actually made for a decent finish. But besides that, it was a very standard match. Mojo still really can't wrestle much more than the basic football player offense of just tackling people all the time. And Zach is still kind of rusty from not really being active in the ring, so it was standard crap.
I'm really biased in that sort of matchup because I'm very anti-Zack Ryder for that. I just can't stand him. I've got no reason other than I just don't like him. I can't enjoy a single match with Zack Ryder, no matter how good it is. I just every time I see him, I want to change the channel.
I would say that he had a decent match with Cena when Cena was doing the U.S. Open Challenge. I like the match that he had with Cena, but think of anything major. Maybe when he won the title off of Ziggler. And of course, the ladder match where he won, but that's more so everybody and not really him in particular that made it great.
Yeah, I just can't find a reason to not dislike him. I hate the woo stuff. I think that's the most childish thing that I've heard on WWE next to Bailey. His beard looks like it's painted on. I can't handle it. It's terrible. Mojo is so much better to me. That says it all.
See, my thing is I think that Zach is a better wrestler, but I don't really want to compliment him on it at the same time because I don't think he's a good wrestler.
He's just mediocre in every way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I mean, he did get himself over, so you gotta give him props to that.
Yeah, if you can get yourself over, then maybe. No, I think
he just chose to like him for no reason. It's just I'm gonna like this guy just because he was on the internet once.
I mean, he was a bit of an endearing underdog, so that's something that a lot of wrestling fans can get behind. But I can see where you're coming from, though. There isn't really, especially nowadays, there really isn't much of a reason to like him, unless you find him attractive or something. Because there's nothing about him that is really standout. I mean, he's not awful on the mic, at least, but.
Well, the day after WrestleMania, where he says, what did he say? He said something to Miz, just 3 words, and I just lost my shit and left the room because it was just terrible. I couldn't handle it. But
3 words.
But he said 3 words, and they were just 3 terribly pronounced words. I obviously don't like Long Island because he obviously has a bad accent that I don't like. But then again, that's just my opinion. I've laid out my view of him pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was the kickoff anyway. The match didn't really do much. All it did was kind of give the Hype Bros a little bit more influence and momentum going into their SmackDown. They have a number one contenders match next week, which is kind of whatever really. All right, so the next match, the opener of the pay-per-view, was the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match, and this was won by James Ellsworth. I'm not even going to say that Carmella won it because she honestly did not. This was now.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I'm sorry to hear that. That match was awful, and they're gonna do it again on next week. Why?
I actually thought that, like, this is probably not going to come as a surprise. I mean, you know how strict I've been on match quality lately. I actually thought this was easily the worst Money in the Bank ladder match I've ever seen. And, like, there hasn't really been, like, a bad Money in the Bank ladder match. Like, there have been ones that haven't been great. Like, ones that are just like, yeah, that happened, whatever. But none that were, like, ever really less than that. And for this one, you probably think, oh, it was just an average match. No. And that's kind of the problem. Like, a Money in the Bank match should not be an average match on the show. Like, it should be a huge thing. Like, it should be easily, regardless of the people involved, just because of all the possibilities of the match, it should be one of the best, if not the best, match on the card. Now, of course, there were two of them, so obviously it's understandable if it's not the best. But it wasn't even the best match if you're discounting the main event. Like, there were better matches on the card that happened that were just like a regular singles match or just something else. Like, it should have been, at the very least, like the second best match on the card, and it wasn't. I will say there were some things that I liked. I don't know if you guys agree with me on this, but I think that Tamina was the MVP of the match.
Probably was. It showcased her strength more than anything and not made her useless like they do on SmackDown.
She had a bunch of great spots. I didn't like the opening spot because it just felt way too contrived. Like, I know it's wrestling and all, but like, they all put up the ladders on the apron, and they all put them up incorrectly. Like, you're supposed to have it so the ladder is flat so you can slide it in. They all put it up, like, so they were, like, standing up. Like, who does that? Like, how dumb are you? Like, that looks so stupid. And the only reason they all did that was so Tamina could go around and, like, drop kick or just super kick each one of them. And it was like, okay, that made Tamina look really good. But that just looked really, really bad. It made every single one of them except for Tamina look stupid.
Like, you could tell that they've never done this before.
Yeah,
like you could tell they were going in there and they were scared for their lives basically half the time, and they were making sure that everything was going to go right. But it ended up looking like it was completely fabricated.
I think Tamina was the only one that actually took like real bumps with the ladder. The only one.
Did you see the bruise on her arm?
She was the only one that took legit bumps with the ladder. Everything else just looked fake as hell. Like when Tamina hit Natty with the, I don't know what the fuck you call it, from the corner, and the ladder was like on the second rope, and she like completely missed.
She I remember that.
Yeah.
It just looked so fake, and it was shit. But then we're gonna have more shit on fucking Tuesday.
I think the best result that came out of that entire match was Tamina's response to Charlotte the night after. Because I've never laughed harder in my life for anything wrestling.
Yeah, that I actually was stunned when I heard that. I didn't have a proper response. I just kind of heard that and I was like, "What did you say?"
The silence was just it was amazing.
The whole crowd was
the atmosphere.
I think the whole crowd had my reaction too. They were like, "What the fuck did you just say?"
It's just
I've heard it.
And then of course, looking like I don't even remember any other like spots from the match, just because it was just other than some of the stuff that Tamina did, and I guess like Becky's struggle in the match. Like I don't even remember too much about it. I think though, there was a bit of finisher spam at the beginning of the match too. I remember that because I know like Natty hit her discus and Charlotte was like throwing big boots left and right. That was kind of neat, but it was also like, oh come on, like you're burning yourselves out in the first 2 minutes of the match. Like slow down. And then there's the finish, which I think is one of the most shit-tacular finishes I've ever seen in the ladder match. Probably the most shit-tacular ladder finish I've seen.
No worse than like, Kane holding up the ladder for Seth?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right.
At least he didn't grab the briefcase for him.
But I mean, there's no rules towards it. They have a point.
I know. And you know what? I've been dreading this day because I knew deep down in my heart someday there was going to be a ladder match where someone not involved in the match was going to climb up, grab the briefcase or the belts or whatever, and bring it down for people. I was afraid of this. And I thought it was going to happen during the authority angle. Like, I thought that Kane was just going to climb up and grab the briefcase, drop it down to Seth, and be like, it's yours or whatever, like, or just give it to him in some way. But, no. I don't want it to happen. And we can talk about all the sexism involved, like, a man basically won the match. But that's not even my biggest issue with it. My biggest issue is the fact that somebody grabbed the briefcase for someone else. If this had happened with any other combination of wrestlers, would I still be just as mad? Yes. I would. I don't care if it was like an authority like angle where it was like, I don't know, Triple H climbing up and grabbing the briefcase for Seth. I would still be pissed. Actually, I'd probably be pissed even more because of the symbolism of that situation of Triple H literally picking his favorites off. But God, it's so awful.
This match should have never happened to begin with, at all.
I'm okay with it happening.
I mean, you know how they test be at WrestleMania, like before, like to get their moves set and everything? They should have done that first to see how the match was gonna go. And if it was going to shit, they should have just scrapped it right there.
I think this should not have been the first ladder match. I feel like they should have done some more of them beforehand. Like maybe had like
a singles ladder
something
match.
Like that. Or even just like a simple one-on-one ladder match. Just something so at least one of the women in the match could have some experience with that.
Yeah, that just
is a huge problem.
It showed, and it was that it showed. So,
like the main event, like when you compare it to the main event where everybody except Nakamura has had experience in ladder matches, and hey, they remedied that by not having Nakamura in the ladder match, which we'll get to. But like with this match, there's I just knew it wasn't going to be that great. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been a whole lot worse. But at the same time,
somebody
it could have been a lot better too.
Charlotte could have fucking did her little corkscrew thing from the ladder, and then I would have just been done with wrestling. Like I would have just resigned. Thank God she didn't do that.
All right, so that was that match, and of course we'll get to the Smackdown fallout of it a little later. So the next match was in another string of bad finishes. The New Day defeating the Usos via countout for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and another flat finish.
Yeah.
But I will say, the match was good. Like, it was one of my favorite matches of the night. It wasn't, like, the best from either team. I think, like, they both had better matches before, but...
To me, I think it was more Kofi, like, testing the waters, like, after his injury, more than anything.
Yeah, Kofi had some great spots. Jesus.
I think that's more what it was. That's why it was kind of flat. It was just testing Kofi out, see how he moves.
That like jump, that like thing that he's doing now, where like his jump is like kind of diving into the crowd, sort of thing. Oh my god, that is so hype, and I don't understand why. Like, Probably because he looks like the happiest man on earth when he's doing it. He's just like, whee!
Yeah, it just suits his persona really well, that move. It compliments him.
I think the move to SmackDown.
It fits their gimmick of just being like fun-loving dudes.
But the thing is, I hate the way they say New Day's playpen. It sounds like a pedophile sort of thing. And I'm sick of their dick jokes. I'm sick of all that. But other than that, I enjoyed the match. Until the end. That ending was a bit of a downer. But
I mean,
what else were they going to do, really?
I wasn't mad at the ending at all. Just for the simple fact that you can't have them both lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like
that's why I was okay with it. It's just it was like
it was the right ending, in my opinion, because like I had even like predicted going into it that the New Day were going to win either via DQ or countout. Like I knew it was happening, but it's just one of those situations where like you kind of wish it hadn't happened in the first place. Like I feel like they just a little while maybe, but I understand why they wanted to do it, just because there's really no one else. Like American Alpha until this week was nowhere to be seen. They've already done Breezango a bunch. The Ascension are a joke. Like every other team is a joke at this point. They could have theoretically done the Hype Bros Usos, but they would have had to build it super quickly, and it would have just been blah.
They handcuff themselves with the tag division.
Yeah, they really have. Like, it's like tag team divisions when it's like, well, you do have a good tag team division, but you don't utilize them well at all. Like one of your best teams, somehow made American Alpha look like a bad tag team. I don't even know how they managed to do that. Like I'm genuinely impressed. They're a great tag team, but a lot of people think that they suck now because they booked them bad and they had like a couple of bad matches. Like I'm genuinely impressed. If there's one thing that this company is good at doing, it's making good wrestlers look really, really shitty.
It's unbelievable because the Usos and American Alpha had one of the best tag team matches just prior to WrestleMania that you could actually watch. There's not many better out there other than DIY Revival, really. And why not just have that at WrestleMania? That would have just built so much momentum into the tag division, and they would have just propelled from there.
Had done Usos American Alpha Mania, that would have been so hype.
If they gave them time.
Instead of doing that match at Mania, we're going to do it everywhere else instead. We're going to have it on TV. We're going to do it at pay-per-views no one cares about. No, we won't do it at Mania. It's not a Mania-level match, even though it totally was.
Every single tag team into the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial, whatever.
That was
and just make them look absolutely terrible. And make them look like, they're not important whatsoever. Let's make them all lose to Jinder and Mojo Rawley and Gronk.
We're not gonna disrespect Jinder right here. No, that's not happening. It's not happening.
No, not happening.
I have mixed feelings about Jinder's match, but we'll get to that after the next match, which was the match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Title. Naomi defending and defeating Lana. You guys go first because I think my opinions of this match are probably the most negative I've heard, but you guys talk about it first.
I mean, it's Lana's first match on the main roster. She didn't do that bad. It wasn't Ashley or Kelly levels of bad. She showed some promise at least. And it wasn't a squash.
That match, absolutely no hope.
It wasn't a squash like I thought it was going to be.
I was almost impressed with how Lana actually managed to do 3 moves.
Okay. Well,
that was about
like I said, of all the people that I've seen on various forums and chats and stuff, I have the most negative opinion that I've been able to find. I thought that this match was the drizzling shits. I was struggling to get through this. It was only 7.5 minutes, but I was struggling so hard to get through it. And for multiple reasons. One, the booking of the match was very questionable. having Carmella come in at that point, like, it
Yeah,
kind of killed the momentum of the match for me.
That was the only bad part, to me, at least.
And for all these little things that I was just seeing Lana fuck up with, like, her general, like, spacing and positioning in the ring is just atrocious. And that spot of slamming someone's legs against the ropes, yeah, don't do that. That's actually incredibly dangerous, no matter how safe you try to do it. Unless, like, they fall like a feather to the ground, which people don't, that spot is incredibly dangerous and can actually, like, destroy your tendons and other, like, muscles and stuff in your leg. Like, don't ever do that. That's so dangerous. Because those ropes are made of, like, there's metal in there. Like, those ropes are no joke. And I just felt that, like, every move that Lana did, with the exception of, like, a couple of kicks, was just really, really sloppy. And carry Lana to a good match. Because Naomi herself has been kind of sloppy. Like, her in-ring stuff has been, like, average at best. And her character is a complete waste of my fucking viewing time.
Agreed.
I'm not the only one that thinks this. Praise the Lord.
She's a joke. Almost ratchet. She actually is kind of ratchet, actually. Like, and it pains me to say that,
when she talks, it doesn't make sense to me, because I'm from Australia. I've never heard anything in my life that she said. I've never heard any of it. I don't know. I had to Google "snatch you ball." I understand it's pulling hair, but I've never heard of it in my life.
It's a lot of Americanisms that she throws out now. Like, I'm pretty sure she just sits on, like, Snapchat and Twitter all day, and then just like, how can I improve my character? I know. I can just say this and scroll down this, and then just start saying that shit on TV. And I'm like, man, like, I watch this shit because I like to avoid that crap in my life. I don't want to embrace it even more. Like, please leave. Like, man, I
migraines. I mean, I can't handle it.
Like, there is a way to use that stuff properly, and she's not doing it. Like,
at least take notes from Enzo. Jesus Christ. He does all that shit all the time.
He doesn't.
I don't understand half the things Enzo says either, but at least he says it with charisma, and
it's not
like,
forced.
Yeah, I'm supporting what you say, even though I have no idea what you're saying.
And it's not forced. Like, when you hear Naomi speak, it's forced. It's like she's forcing everything. No, it's not gonna work that way.
Exactly.
But the one thing that really annoys me in beginners matches are when people cannot run the ropes. Lana cannot run the ropes at all. When she rebounds off those ropes, it looks like the worst. It just doesn't look right. And if you can't do that, you shouldn't be in main roster WWE ring. That's just my opinion. If you can't do that, then everything after that doesn't work.
Yeah, for the same way.
There's another thing. I think I may have brought this up on the show before. I know I've brought it up in chats and stuff, and it's kind of related to this, like just doing basic moves incorrectly. Mojo can't properly do an Irish whip.
No, he can't.
He jumps. He jumps when he does it. Like I don't. If you haven't noticed it, just go watch any Mojo match. He jumps every time he does like an Irish whip because he just can't do it properly. Like, you don't jump during an Irish whip.
Because that's just putting even more force into it.
The Irish whip itself is a bad move. Like, it's terrible, but like it exists, and that's something we have to deal with. But he doesn't even do it properly. Fuck up basic maneuvers like that because it just takes me out of it. Like, the whole point of those maneuvers is that you're supposed to be able to do them in a standard way like everybody else, because otherwise it gets noticed and people just fixate on that. Like, I'm fixating on it now, and it takes away from the match.
My thing is,
terrible.
This shouldn't have been Lana's first match. You should have had her against someone who knows what they're doing in the ring, like a Charlotte or a Becky. Not against somebody who we know is sloppy in Naomi.
I think Becky should have 100% been her first singles match on the main roster.
I think
it would have been fun.
Just holds Naomi in too high a regard in terms of her in-ring quality. Backstage.
Yeah, because there were people for a while that were like, oh, Naomi's the best on the roster. And you know what? At one point, as sad as it is, Naomi was pretty much one of the best people they had on the roster. Because that was before they brought up all these NXT people. And it's like, well, we have Becky, who is better. We have Charlotte, who is better. We have, like, Sasha and Bayley, where even though they're floundering and they're not doing so hot now, are still better than Naomi. Like
we have... even Tamina's better than fucking Naomi. Tamina actually knows. She actually knows what she's doing in that fucking ring.
Tamina have a 10-minute match other than that Money in the Bank match in my life.
I mean,
I can't recall one.
I can't either, but at
but
least
she's better than Naomi.
Yeah. I'd rather have Alicia Fox than Naomi, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We'll get into that Alicia Fox.
Oh, the best in the biz. All right. So next was the WWE title match. Jinder Mahal defending against Randy Orton in Randy's hometown of St. Louis. So I actually liked this match. I didn't love it, but I thought it was a lot better than their original match.
It gave the ruthless aggression vibes, to me at least.
I kind of got that. I got a little bit of that. I also felt like it was that standard booking of I'm going to beat the crap out of the veteran the whole time and make myself look really good, but still win the match anyway.
And Jinder did look really good.
You don't see that too often. Like, a lot of the time when, like, you see that less experienced person, like, for example, beating up on John a lot, and then he would just come back and win because he's John Cena. But, like, match, it was just, I'm going to beat on Orton a lot, and then I'm actually going to beat him. Like, granted, the finish was match, which is actually something I really didn't like. But
we knew the finish was coming. Come on.
Yeah, I know, but at least have a variation of that sort of finish rather than the exact same thing.
Yeah,
the only difference was there were old guys there, and that they threatened to punch them. Even though I could probably see Ric Flair dominating both of them.
Do we really think Rick would dominate both of them?
I think he would have at least clocked one of them in the fucking temple.
Yeah, one of them. Not both.
There's an over-exaggeration, Chris. Just let it slide.
Honestly, what I thought was going to happen was Jinder was like literally going to drag Randy's father into the ring, hit him with his finisher to piss Randy so bad that he would just DQ himself. But I was still okay with this ending.
I don't think Randy would have let Jinder grab and drag Bob into the ring. Like, the second, if Jinder had gone anywhere near him, and then, like, even so much as laid a finger on him, Randy would have just killed him where he stood. Like, there would have been no Jinder left.
That's what I was hoping, at least. But at least he got another pin on Randy, and he looks better in the ring than the first time. I'm still a bit skeptical. I'm still not gonna like hop on the Jinder train or the Jinder carpet or whatever you want to call it. But I did like him a little bit more in this match than I did before, because I felt before he was just kind of sloppy. He still didn't show like some crazy fire in this, but it was better than before.
It was an improvement on the first match, but I'm still taking a back seat on my opinion with Jinder still. I need to see more than just Randy Orton.
I mean, he might be getting Cena.
Randy had done it that. I actually want to see Cena versus Jinder because I saw a poster. I thought, oh, that's like, it was a really cool poster. It had like Cena with the American flag like draped over his like draped on his shoulders, like going down, and then it had just like Jinder in the background with like his stuff on. It looked really fucking cool. I was like, man, I kind of want to see that interaction. That'd be cool.
Right. Well, you know the interactions between the two on SmackDown and the promos and all the segments will be just great. It's just,
I mean, Jinder has
what's going to happen between now and until then? Is it going to be another 2 months of Randy Orton just demolishing and then losing again, or?
Well, I mean, Cena comes back next week or the week after.
I don't know, but
Randy,
is he going to team up with Randy?
No, what I think is they're going to have a number one contender match at Battleground or whatever the next SmackDown pay-per-view is. And of course, Cena wins. And then that's how we get that program started. Because I'm not going to have 3 matches of Randy versus Jinder when Randy's already lost twice. It makes no sense to continue the feud even further. Oh, okay, you touched my father. Have a regular match on SmackDown and call it a day. You lose again. There's no point to fucking escalate this feud even further to Battleground when you know Cena's coming back and Cena might even have a better match with Jinder than Randy is.
Well, he should. I expect it. And hopefully I'm not proven wrong, but hopefully this feud just ends quicker than, or rather sooner than later, because it's just dragged on.
I think it is going to end. I think it's going to end after Battleground. I think that's where they're capping it off.
Yeah.
Because I believe they're having a Punjabi prison match at Battleground, and then that's going to be the end of the feud.
Oh my Jesus! Well, I mean, it's not Kali, and Kali was in both, so I don't think it'll be bad.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how they set it up. Just the look of it.
All right.
That's the most interesting thing for me.
So let's see the next match, which was kind of an impromptu because there was a fashion Vice clip, which was fucking hilarious. I love this shit. I love what these two are doing. Breezango.
Yeah.
Highlight of SmackDown for me.
They're fantastic.
And the match they had was really nothing to speak of. It was just them kind of beating on the Ascension for a couple minutes. So there's really not much to talk about there. But I really do like what they're doing. And then before we get to the men's Money in the Bank, the other thing I wanted to bring up was the return and debut of Maria Kanellis and her husband Mike, who took her last name for WWE, which I think is cute and hilarious. So is just them being super, super like cringy in love with each other, which I think is awesome because like it's cringy. It's supposed to be cringy because they're heels, and it's going to get crazy reactions from the crowds. Like, you know, it is. It already has a bit gotten reactions from them. And the fact that Mike has the douchiest look on him, like he's got that haircut and the beard and taking her last name, like, oh my God, I think they're going to do really well.
Him taking her last name.
They're the perfect replacements for the Miz and Maurice.
Yeah, because Maurice is out the door, apparently.
What?
Maurice is out the door, apparently. But we'll get to that.
Like an 80s power ballad, which is just the icing on the cake. Like this is so good, honestly. Like I'm really hyped to see what they're going to do. Like Maria is like a great manager. Like she really gets people riled up and also kind of puts the dudes in the like I'm hot but I'm taken, so screw you sort of thing. Like I love it. I love it. So, for the main event of this pay-per-view, which I had so much trouble getting through, the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Shinsuke Nakamura, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, Baron Corbin, and Dolph Ziggler. And of course, Shinsuke was taken out by Baron Corbin during his entrance, so it was actually just the 5 of them for most of the match until Nakamura came in at the last, 5 or 6 minutes. What did you guys think of this?
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
I tried watching it at work yesterday, today, and tried watching it on Sunday. It just wasn't clicking for me. I don't know what it was.
Well, I don't think it was one of the better ones. It wasn't one of the better ones for sure, but I didn't mind it. I like the fact that Baron Corbin took out Nakamura because I don't think Nakamura should have been in the match at all.
No.
Because I think they just overexposed the shit out of him. There's something wrong with how he's being booked at the moment. Like, you see him every week now fighting Dolph every week, and we're like, okay. Dolph every week and maybe struggling to beat him, but we know he's going to win. But it wasn't a bad match.
Peef fucking
Interaction
called
at the end
it
was
top 3. Peef called it top 3 Money in the Bank matches.
How?
No, absolutely not. I don't think it sucked. I don't think it was an all-time great either. I think it was a good but not great match, and I find myself saying that so often lately. No. I thought it was okay. Now, the reason why I don't think it stands up to like the original or anything like that is because our match to the extreme. Now, when I talk about revolving door promos or revolving door matches, basically I mean that it's a situation that involves multiple people, but not multiple people doing stuff at the same time. In a lot of these multi-man matches, you end up getting situations where you have 2 people that are doing stuff in the ring together, and then another person will come in and someone else will leave. And with like revolving door promos, it's, one person talking and then another person comes in and talks and so on and so on. When I say that this was a revolving door match to the extreme, I mean it in the sense that there was probably on average like 1.5 people in the ring at all times. It was very much one person and their struggle to get up and climb the ladder, somebody coming in and beating up that person for a little bit, and then that person leaving, and then that one person in the ring trying to climb up the ladder. And it was that over and over and over again for so long. After the first, I think the two best parts of the match, in my opinion, were the first 5 minutes and I'd say the last 5. Because the first 5, it started off with the match being split into 2. So you had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens on one side that were beating the shit out of each other. That was great. And then on the other side, concurrently, you had Corbin, Styles, and Ziggler all just kind of going in a circle, beating each other up, which was fantastic. It was really, really cool. You had the spot where Corbin and Ziggler were kind of like in a mini alliance for like a minute or two, where they pretty much agreed to beat the crap out of Styles at the ladder before turning on each other. And then, of course, you had Kevin Owens, who was arguably the MVP of the match. He took 16,000 bumps. Holy shit. That man, Owens died in that match and then came back to life and then died again. It was insane. Out of it at first, I was like, I don't know who the MVP of that match was. And then I rewatched some highlights. I'm like, oh, it was Owens easily. Owens put himself through hell during that match, and I have so much respect for him for doing that. But
like he usually does as well. He takes so many bumps in so many matches. And he comes out the next night and actually sells them. He actually sells the injuries. He comes out limping. He comes out doing the...
It's weird. It's almost like Kevin Owens is a really good wrestler or something, huh?
Who knew?
I know, it's unbelievable.
But yeah, after that first 5 minutes, it was just kind of revolving door action until Nakamura came back, and then he had that stare down with AJ, and that's where the match got really good again. That's where, when they had that stare down, I was worried. For a split second, I was worried. Because the last time they had a stare down like that, the crowd gave them no reaction. So I was really nervous to see what St. Louis would do. But St. Louis had been a really good crowd the whole night. They were popping for so much stuff. So I was thinking, okay, maybe they'll pop. And boy, did they pop. That was one of the biggest pops of the night. And it was a really good one, too. It wasn't, super loud, but it was kind of like a thorough one. You could hear everybody was giving some sort of reaction. We're like, okay, we're getting something here. And then they're, just staring at each other, and I'm having flashbacks of New Japan, and then they start striking each other, and I'm like, eek! And I was like, okay, this match has to happen now. I don't care. This match has to happen. And it's probably going to happen at some point. But then, they stopped, and then Corbin came in and was like, "Rawr, I win the match." And
I'm happy
it was okay. I think I'm happy he did too, because at the end of the night, I was 5 for 5 for the predictions. I had all the predictions right. So I was like, I should have entered the thing, and I would have beaten all of you, and I'm mad at myself now. I've been mine!
Honestly.
So, Bang, what did you guys think?
Backlash 2.0. Right.
Yeah. It had some high points.
My only high point was Jim.
But it's just that it felt like it could have been so much better.
Yeah.
With the talent that they actually had in there.
I agree with that.
Sami Zayn's unbelievable. That super sunset flip powerbomb was amazing. I loved it. And it made the match like half to a point better than what it was because of the memorable moment that it was. But I give it a 6.5 out of 10, 7.
Around like anywhere from a 5 to a 6.5. My thing is like I think of the 3 matches that I actually thought were good matches, which was the men's Money in the Bank match, the Tag Team Championship match, and the WWE Championship match. And 2 of those 3 matches had unsatisfactory finishes. Granted, the tag team match needed to have that finish. I wish it didn't, but it kind of needed it, so I can give it a little bit of, I can cut it some slack. The WWE Championship match had a bad finish because they literally just copy and pasted the one from before. And I guess my issues with the main event were more so with the match itself, because the finish is whatever. Like, it was fine. Like, Corbin won. I'm perfectly fine with him winning. He was the only person I even wanted to see win. I didn't want anyone else winning that match, so I'm perfectly fine with that. Just overall, I felt that the lows to me were much lower than the highs. Like I said, the highs were obviously the Money in the Bank, the men's Money in the Bank match and stuff, but they don't make up for just the constant disappointment that I was feeling throughout the show, and it just kind of of the show. And it's even more.
But isn't that just a pattern now?
It's been like the norm, which is really disappointing, especially for Money in the Bank, because even though Money in the Bank is a B show, it's supposed to be like when you think of all of the B pay-per-views, like Money in the Bank is supposed to be the most important one because it affects storylines throughout the whole year or however long they plan on making the briefcase holder a briefcase holder. It's supposed to have a lot of long-term effects on the rest of the booking, whereas a lot of other shows, a lot of what happens on them is just kind of contained almost. Like, there's a little bit of stuff from before and a little bit of stuff from after that it mainly affects, but it's like most of those pay-per-views, the B and C ones, are contained. Money in the Bank is supposed to have very long-term effects on the booking, and I feel like with this, it did, but it's, you should have a better impression walking away from the show. And I can understand that you're not going to get every show right. It's just disappointing that it happened with Money in the Bank. Whereas, like, I feel like if they had been really, like, extra shitty with one of the other shows, maybe they could balance it out by having Money in the Bank be a lot better as a result. And it wasn't. And this is, like, a string of just mediocre pay-per-views. And I just really hope that we get one that isn't NXT sometime soon that is just really good and just brings back my belief that this company can actually do something acceptable with the main roster. I don't know. Maybe Great Balls of Fire will be fun. Who knows?
I don't know about that, but it's a shame because SmackDown had some of the better pay-per-views from the start of the brand split, and then it slowly started trailing off. And I'm not. They have the personnel to do it. It's just that they need to make things feel like a bigger deal than what they are.
Like, Raw has generally looked better the past few months, which is so disappointing because SmackDown had everything in the world, and they still do have everything in the world to make themselves the better roster. Like, they have a more stacked roster. They have so much more potential to be better too, because even though Vince is still like the big boss throughout everything, he doesn't have as much influence on SmackDown as he does Raw. So you'd think that SmackDown should be the better show just because of all of that, but it's still not. It doesn't make a lick of sense. Like,
I'd say, I wouldn't say it's a lesser show, but in terms of star power, Raw does look like the biggest show, but Raw's just unwatchable for 2.5 hours of it. So
Raw is ever so slightly taking better advantage of what they have.
Because of a few factors, I think. It's the little things, I think.
Well, that's just it, though. It's like SmackDown has so much they could be taking advantage of, but they're not doing it. Whether because they want to play the super long-term game, or because they just don't want to do it. Whereas like Raw, a ton, but they don't really have a ton. But they're playing their cards a bit better. Oh well.
Depends which point of view you take it, I guess.
That's true. There are a lot of people that I would say.
If you look at the women, if you look at the women's rosters on both shows, that Raw women's roster it has some okay wrestlers in there. It has some pretty good wrestlers, but holy shit, they've just ruined it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe how poor it is.
I mean,
Money in the Bank match wasn't that good. It wasn't, but they still had it, and they still used all of their women. And you're going to see next week on SmackDown, you're going to have 2 major women's matches on the show. So half of SmackDown's all about the women, and on Raw they had 3 minutes of I don't even remember because it was terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just kind of wedged. It's like they forgot about the women for most of the show, and it's actually a good segue because we are going to be getting into Raw's discussion. Yeah. That was actually the thing that ticked me off the most was that the women just kind of felt like they were wedged in, like, oh shit, it's the 3rd hour, we forgot to put the women in. All right, just slip them in somewhere. It'll be fine. People will be okay with it. It's like, no, we were not okay with it.
Yeah, well, what if they tweet that we weren't on the show again? Oh, we better just stuff them on.
Yeah,
all of them on in the same ring for 5 minutes. Oh, they'll be happy.
Nia has already been vocal as fuck on Twitter about not being used very much or at all.
And now she's being used
and this is
a lot.
Yeah,
good on Nia. Or Nia.
Yeah, she's done nothing since she was promoted from NXT.
Commend SmackDown for doing it's making full use of their women's division, even if they're not doing it to the best of their abilities. Like they're still using them. Like Raw's only been doing that now because of people like Nia that have been like very vocal about it.
I mean, the only bright spots in the Raw women's rosters: Alexa, Emma, and Nia. You really have no other bright spots there. Sasha, Dana Brooke, Green, Bailey, they fucking killed her. Mickey James, she's just there for filler. Summer Rae, injured. Paige, never gonna see her again. And Alicia Fox
I've heard rumors that she's coming back though.
I mean,
soon.
They're gonna throw her in there.
Even if Paige comes back, they're not really gonna use her for much. They'll probably keep her around until the hype for her movie is dead, and then they'll can her.
Yeah.
Think of it this way: when she does return, she's got the biggest pop that you'll hear from any woman in both divisions.
I don't think so.
I reckon.
I don't know.
She might get some unsavory chants from the crowds, but that'll die off sooner or later.
Yeah, that's never dying down.
I don't know. I just feel like if they do use her, which I'm still doubtful, like I said, I feel like they'll use her for a few months, especially because they don't want to fire her like right around the time her movie comes out, because that's just going to look really, really bad on the company. They're just going to wait until like a couple months after the movie, the hype dies down, and like, oh yeah, look, there's this cool movie and stuff, and then they'll drop her, and then she'll just go do indie work or something, because the indie scene is going to scoop her up. Like she'll be busy there, but
sure.
They're going to take advantage of her while she's around, but then once they don't need her anymore, they'll throw her away.
And then we get more Drunk Del Rio rants. Lovely.
Isn't he such a great guy?
Yeah, he's such an upstanding citizen. Oh man, but this Raw was all over the place. Oh my god.
Yeah, I enjoyed
Reigns was my favorite part. Reigns was literally my favorite part of this show, which is so weird to say now, but everything that Reigns did was my favorite. Like he had his promo, and I'm like, cool. I like what you're doing. You're controlling the crowd well. You're actually getting us kind of hyped for something.
He's improved with that. like
You
controlling
had your
the crowd.
encounter with Joe. Yo, his match with Joe.
Came up, and that's call out the fact that he's not one of those Samoans. And I love that they did that because it's such an obvious thing to say. And why not do it? Because you never do the obvious thing, and it's about time they did it. So it's good. It can't not be good because everyone expects it. And Roman saying that you're not one of us, and him just headbutting the crap out of him, that was great. You can't. There's nothing wrong with it. Everything's right.
Yeah, sometimes, or a lot of the time, WWE has that issue where they just like, there's just that really good thing that's right in their faces, just hanging there. Like, just grab it, and just go. And they never do. They always go. They always try to reach for the really crappy stuff. But this is so obvious. Like, play up the fact that Joe is not part of that, like, Anoa'i royalty or whatever you want to call them. He's not part of that wrestling dynasty. He's from a different family. So you can... He's, you know, he's not like a normal... he's a normal Samoan. But, like, he's not, like, part of the ones that we all know about. And Reigns is. And Reigns can play that up like, I'm related to The Rock. You're not. So screw you. Like... oh, my God. Yeah, and their match was good. They had a great match. They've had a couple of great...
And how much better is Raw with just Braun Strowman, just his name being on the card? Or him just...
I'm not finished with you!
Yeah, he just makes the show so much better. Just.
I mean, Joe was doing a good job.
Segment of him is just...
It's like one of the best things on the show.
Joe was doing a good job as his replacement, but now that he's back, it's wonderful to have like two powerhouses now on Raw on a weekly basis.
You need more than just one dominating heel.
Yeah.
You can't just rely on one guy, because if it's just one guy, then you can't expect more than just what he does. Because I know you've got Titus O'Neil doing his thing, you've got all of those mid-card things, but you can't just rely on one main event story. Unless Joe and Strowman being on the show, you have two main event stories that you can invest in.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Braun does it really well, and he can like do it with whoever and whenever. That's the good thing about Braun. Like, if he does something, it's believable. Like, if it's just some other random top heel, it's just gonna be like, what are you doing? Like, Braun is just built to beat the shit out of anyone and look good doing it.
And you can't say he can't beat that guy, because look at him. He's the biggest guy on the roster by far. He picked up an ambulance.
He fucking broke his elbow and came back in like, what, a month?
Yeah, I don't know. The guy's a freak. It's great to have a freak around.
Brock Lesnar 2.0.
Like, I can't wait to see what he's going to be doing over the years. Like, assuming that they actually like continue to book him well, like they've been doing. Like, I'm excited to see what he'll do after he finally finishes his feud.
I don't think anybody saw this, like, this reaction with Braun. Because, like, we saw him in the Wyatt family.
Roman's reaction?
No.
Roman's reaction was brilliant.
I'm talking about Braun in general. Like, nobody saw this coming. Like, yeah, I know I was super critical.
I think it was because of the fact that we were exposed to 5-10 years of Big Show and Kane being out of their prime, and they were the dominating giants, and that's what we expected from Braun.
Because I know I was super critical of Braun when he was in the Wyatt family. Like, he's too green, he's shit, he
was bad at that point.
And then when he debuted by himself, I think Peef and I gave like the biggest pop, and then from there
his
just took off.
Just down to a T. It's great. That Raw, just you can't do anything but Garner on top.
And then people were still shitting on him, like when he went solo, and then he cut his promos. He kept on beating up jobbers, and then that's when everybody started jumping on the bandwagon. And then like he's greatly improved in the ring without NXT.
Well, there are a few things that you have to consider. Like, when he was with the Wyatt family, he had a really shitty look. Like, the fuck was that hair? Like, that was awful. Like, he wasn't really doing anything noteworthy, so there was no reason to really care about him. And then, he went solo, and I was intrigued. Like, I was actually really intrigued by the idea of him going solo. I was like, all right, I want to see what they're going to do, because it could easily crash and burn, and he can just be like a terrible big man, and we'll have to sit through this for the next like 10, 15 years or whatever. Or he could actually do something. We'll see. And then he was just beating up jobbers for a while, but he looked really good doing it. And I was just like, he's got a good look. I like what he's doing with his hair. I like his theme. I'm down for it. Like, I'll sit here and I'll see. I'm more and more impressed. And I was like, yeah, I'm totally behind Braun. He's cool as shit, dude. And then he had that match. Which point for a lot of people when he had that first match with Big Show. Oh man, I don't think anyone was expecting.
Yeah, and right off, he dominated a Survivor Series with a bunch of people. So he actually worked well with everyone in the Survivor Series, which honestly it speaks volumes for his improvement. He can work with anyone, and that's what he's been showing. He can his feud with Sami Zayn was great. I loved it.
That's what propelled him to like
really well.
Upper tier. That feud with Sami propelled him. Yeah,
it made him look like he can work with basically anyone and make it look like they can actually put on a good match.
Yeah.
What else was there on Raw? There was Miz with his new entourage. I think that I'm kind of happy about that. I like that Bo and Curtis have something to do.
And
nice.
They might plant the seeds for a Heath heel turn.
I'm so happy to see Bo on TV. His look is great. He looked really good on Raw.
Yeah.
His actual.
Bo looks like he'll kill somebody.
It looks more than like a 16-year-old who has no personal hygiene. That's what he used to look like. But now it looks like he's got his turn. Serious wrestler, hopefully.
Elias Sanson is another bright spot that happened on Raw.
I'm enjoying his stuff. Yeah, he tagged Finn, so I guess they're going to be doing a little thing now. I was wondering what they were going to do with Finn, because he just kind of seemed like he was going nowhere there.
It seems like he's in a doghouse for some reason.
Yeah, because it's like, well, they're continuing the Miz-Ambrose feud for whatever reason. They're having Rollins in a horrible feud with Bray Wyatt. I'm like, what the hell is Finn doing? And then they had this interaction. I'm like, okay, you can see a little feud going there. That'd be really good for both of them because, Samson has looked pretty solid and stuff. He's looked good. And it'll be good for him to help build him up, and it'll look good for Balor because Balor's up against a tough guy.
But
I'm down.
My question is, why did Bray just decide to stop pursuing Finn Balor and just go to Seth Rollins and feud with Seth Rollins? I don't get that.
Hell if I know.
It's a WWE. They don't use logic. They just assume.
Just because?
They just assume we forgot. Remember, we're in a microwave era. Dude, everything goes quick.
Yeah. And if there's one thing that I really hope goes quickly, it's this Rollins-Wyatt feud because it's so bad right now. It's
Bray carrying Seth.
It's not even that though. The problem is like Bray sounds like a little whiny bitch because it's Rollins being typical face Rollins, which is nothing that I had ever hoped for. It's just so boring. And then Bray is just kind of whining because Rollins is calling him names. Like, it's so petty.
Yeah.
Like, Bray's like, I'm a god. Rollins is like, you're not a god. And he's like, what? Well, how could you say such mean words to me? Like, come on.
It's just a weird feud.
It's a shame.
I'd like to move on and talk about something that was much more entertaining, which was the end of Raw. So, the culmination of this whodunit shit that's been happening on the show for the past month. Who's been attacking Enzo? who's been attacking Big Cass? It was Big Cass, which I think we all kind of expected, but it's still, oh my god. How did everyone else feel when Enzo just started fucking crying there when Cass was digging into him?
Like, he sold that shit so well.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
But
like, I don't know how I feel about them actually having a feud, but I kind of like the idea of Cass doing some stuff. I don't know what he's going to do, but
they might put him as a top
yeah, that was
heel.
The question.
Very, very good segment.
Are we going to see Big Cass versus Little Enzo at Great Balls of Fire?
Yeah, of course.
They'll probably have a match. And
I'm interested.
Interested?
I want to see.
I feel like, God, it'll be such a heartbreaking match because it'll just be Cass beating the crap out of Enzo for a while.
But at least it gets
I'm sure
Enzo.
that they practiced so much over the years that they've almost perfected a few spots and hopefully highlight Enzo in being some sort of capable wrestler.
I mean, this gives Enzo the shot to go to the Cruiserweight division.
To show that he can do something, you know?
Although, I'm pretty sure he proclaimed that he was 206 at one point, so he technically not part of it, but he'll drop.
Right, he can not eat KFC's golden chicken or whatever he eats all the time.
No, he's billed
maybe
at 200.
He's off the fried chicken. I don't remember how much he's billed at, because he always refers to himself as 206 or some bullshit like that.
He's smaller than half the cruiserweights anyway, so he's fine.
The thing with this...
Speaking of a division I don't care about, Cruiser What's? Like, that's what I'm calling them now. I'm calling them the Cruiser What's because, like, they're just...
At least,
I don't care about them at all.
But the thing is, at least now they're integrating them with the main roster, like what they're doing with Titus and Tozawa and Neville. That's great.
What I don't enjoy is that cell phone Noam Dar thing with Alicia Fox.
That needs to stop.
Guys.
That's got to stop immediately. Like, if I saw that shit in the writer's room, I would have been like, no, that ain't going to fly. That's going to piss people off. No one's going to be...
Not only... It hasn't happened just once. It's happened 3 times in a row, so obviously they really like it.
The writers like it. That's who likes it.
Yeah. I don't get it. It got no reaction. Everyone's confused. Why is he talking into a phone? Why?
And then they see, like, Alicia...
Can she just come out?
Yeah. Like,
can she just come out in her phone? Exactly. That'd make things a bit more interesting, wouldn't it?
Another thing, what are they doing with Graves? Like, is he moving?
Just for that angle. I think he'll just be a commentator as usual. I don't think he's going to have any extra involvement from this point onward because he can't wrestle.
I mean, maybe they put him as a heel GM. Like, as this angle story builds up.
I don't know if this angle story... Oh, actually, that's a tough one because, like, the stories were, like, really weird and intertwined, and I don't know what was going on with that. I don't know, maybe that was... I'm kind of hoping that was the big blow-off for everything.
Because the thing is... Angle was supposed to be the one that was supposed to solve this big who attacked Enzo and Cass. But it was Corey that found out. Like, Corey got the information, he got everything. And so it's like, where's that putting Corey now? Like, is he gonna take Angle's spot? Is he making all this shit up? Like, it's compelling.
Yeah, we'll see what happens if they continue any of it next week. Because maybe they'll have Angle, like, kind of doubting himself or something. I don't know. But overall, though, I thought Raw was okay. It wasn't like it had its highs and it had its lows. It was just kind of middle of the road. It wasn't really that great.
I fell asleep after the Hardy's match.
It had things that were worth watching, so that's what I'll say about it.
My thing here...
Smackdown. What were you saying?
My thing is, I think they should trade Big Cass to SmackDown after his blow-off with Enzo.
Trade Big Cass to SmackDown, have Ellsworth be absolutely murdered, and then have Carmella and Cass do shit together.
Yeah. It'll work, and then maybe
It
trade
100% work.
Everybody wins.
trade the club to SmackDown 2. We get some Maria and Carl action going on.
Yeah, not even for our sake. Do it for Carl's sake.
That'll be great promo.
God, that would be so good.
Now SmackDown.
I think SmackDown was probably a bit better than Raw, but there was still some questionable stuff. Obviously, it's WWE. There's always going to be something questionable. The big thing that I wanted to note about SmackDown was that I thought that the match that Ziggler and Nakamura had was better than their pay-per-view match.
Yes.
By quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like their pay-per-view match, but I actually really liked this match.
Their pay-per-view match was just subpar.
The big thing for this match was that there weren't a fuck ton of rest holds like there were in the previous one. Like, yeah, there were rest holds, but there were still like a story being told with the rest holds. Hype too. Like, there wasn't any hype to their pay-per-view match, but I actually thought that this one they were doing some great stuff. Like, they brought a lot of energy to it, and it actually kept me invested. Even though I knew 100% that Nakamura was winning, it was still a good match. Like, it was still enjoyable through the whole thing. What else was good about the show?
Carmella's promo.
D-Bry, yeah. Him getting in Ellsworth's face like that was amazing.
Brian just being there, just
like, I will punch you so fast. He was just like, I will punch you in the face so fast you won't even be able to breathe, and then I'll fire you. And I'm like, who? I'm like, Brian. Like, God,
I think Carmella's promo was also a high spot.
Yeah.
Promo.
The Justified
Everything
heel
he said was believable. It was well delivered.
The Justified heel is my favorite.
Not only that, that was the biggest reaction she's ever gotten.
Yeah,
so I guess the
crowd was kind of.
And she controlled the crowd. And she controlled that crowd.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like, the crowd was like kind of mixed. Like, they were really behind her because she was speaking the truth, but they were also like, on the other hand, screw you for feeling justified. Like,
it was a good promo.
An example being, like, I watch WWE with my dad, and he hates Carmella, like, with a passion. And after that promo, he's like, I like her now. That sums it up, I guess.
Right on.
And then all the other women bitching at Daniel, like, why are we having this?
Well, that I can kind of understand. It's a way to get them all to do something throughout the show, but it's also, I guess, a bit of a showcase for them to try and, like, have their own little promos and whatever. I really liked what Becky said, though. Like, I know Becky is, like, I don't know if she's trained. I think she might be, but, like, I know she's an actress from before. So, like, I was expecting something good for her, but man, she was, oh my God, the emotion that she put out was amazing. I love Becky so much. She's so good.
Yeah, she is.
She's almost been the MVP of the female division since coming up from NXT. She's been so great for SmackDown. She's elevated so many superstars along the way.
I'm so glad that she's a part of SmackDown.
Yeah, I think a program with her and Carmella will make Carmella take the next step, really. Because she'll teach her so many things in the ring. She'll teach her where to be, how to do certain things. Nothing but positives, I think.
Same thing with Lana.
Really needs
Becky and Lana.
Carmella had what'd you say?
Same thing with Becky and Lana. Like, Becky could tell Lana, do this, do that. Like, give her the right placements and stuff.
That was, like, kind of something that Carmella had before with Bayley. Like, Bayley was always there because I think they were, like, best buddies or something like that. But then, I guess after now Carmella's doing other stuff, so she definitely needs that sort of person to just, like, kind of help her out, help her be really good. And she does have a lot of potential. Like, she has a lot of potential, but she's still got a lot of work to do.
Well, she's got the attitude down pat.
American Alpha was visible again. That was kind of neat.
I think they dropped the ball there.
What's that?
I think they dropped the ball.
They totally did. I feel like if you're going to bring them back, you should bring them back for what they're supposed to be doing, which is being a tag team. So then it's like, oh,
get the better one.
Are they coming out here? Like, oh, Chad Gable's having a match. Sure.
I think that should have been reserved for at least Shelton Benjamin. Give us a surprise return that we know nothing about.
That'd be cool.
Apparently, he's in negotiations again. So let's see where it goes.
Bring out an established guy.
You imagine the pop it would have got?
What, Shelton?
Yeah.
Like, absolutely, like, monstrous pop. I mean, you heard the crowd fucking pop when Maria came out on the...
on fucking Money in the Bank. That was crazy.
Yeah, they popped hard for them.
And apparently...
and then they booed pretty hard for them, too, which is awesome.
For sure.
And apparently they had a little segment during a commercial break, which I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know if it was during a commercial. It might have been during one of the commercials, because I know normally they don't cut to a commercial anymore. They keep like the show going. I think on.
Yeah, the little screen.
I don't know if they.
I think that's,
always do it though.
I don't think that's for every commercial though.
I believe. Yeah. If they cut the commercial during a match now, like at least on the USA Network, they don't like stop the feed. Like they keep the feed going on the side while playing the commercial, and it lets you keep watching the match, but it also kind of makes you pay a bit more attention to the commercials since you're trying to focus on everything on the TV and you're just like, oh, commercial, oh, match.
Yeah,
it's a good marketing strategy. Honestly, I really like it. Because
it's better than just not watching the match.
Yeah,
helps the advertisers and it helps the actual company like show off more of their product. What else happened on this show that was worth talking about? Usos, New Day stuff, yada yada yada.
We had a Luke Harper sighting.
Yeah, Luke Harper had a match with Jinder. I didn't really care much for the match, to be honest. Jinder kind of just reminded me of earlier Jinder stuff where he just wasn't caring as much. But I always like seeing Luke Harper.
Yeah, it looked good at least.
Yeah, it didn't look bad. I'm not gonna say it was bad. Like there wasn't anything to me that was like strictly awful about the show. Like there was some stuff that wasn't great, and we can all discuss how we Money in the Bank ruling, like whether that's a good decision or not. But there wasn't anything to me that felt strictly awful. It's the better show this week just because of that. There wasn't anything that made me go, "Oh, that's just complete garbage."
Yeah,
like SmackDown and Raw both had good stuff. Like they both had some stuff in common. Like they both had a pay-per-view rematch that, in my opinion, was either on par or better than the previous encounter. Joe Reigns didn't happen on pay-per-view, but like it was better than. I think it was just a tiny bit better than their previous match. Obviously, Nakamura Ziggler was much better than their previous match. Is kind of stacked, though. Like we've got a number one contenders match for the tag titles. We've got We've got two rematches. We've got the women's championship rematch and the Money in the Bank rematch. That's never happened before. And then also Zayn versus Corbin, which could have implications depending on how the match goes. Doesn't, it'll be interesting. I'm actually very interested for SmackDown next week, and I think it's going to pull it's either going to pull mad ratings or it's going to fall flat.
Well, the ratings increased by quite a bit this week, so I reckon it's only upwards from here because they've opened so many doors.
They have.
There's so many possibilities leading up to the next pay-per-views. So I think it's going to just improve from here. And hopefully they rotate their wrestlers a better. So we can see some more Ty Dillinger, see some more Eric Rowan. Just more character development here and there.
Yes.
Otherwise, all good.
Yeah, they have to. Well, SmackDown has to start building the battleground now, so who knows what'll happen.
So hopefully they use everything.
Yeah,
they let everyone just run with
it. Okay, so that was WWE stuff for this week.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other stuff that we can talk about. Kenny Omega and Okada, they had their long-awaited rematch. What did you guys see that match?
I did.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think about it? Because Meltzer obviously thinks it's the greatest wrestling match of all time, but I want to hear what you guys have to think about it.
I think it dragged on. Like, there was no need for that finish just to make it a third one. We know it's gonna be a third one. The main problem I had with it was basically in the beginning where Kenny's attacking Okada's leg, and then like halfway through the match, I just forget about it, and it just never happened. He's not selling it no more. I think that was my only gripe. And then Cody was my other gripe with it. Like, why is Cody out there? Why is he gonna throw in the towel? We know Kenny's not like that. It makes no sense.
Kenny doesn't quit, man. Like, that man's gone to war with everybody. He does not just give up like that. Like, he'll go to the very end, which he obviously did. So, I don't know. I think Cody just did.
I don't know. That's how
Cody did it. I completely understand why Cody did it, because obviously he wants the match. Like, he's getting the match, but like, he is so desperate for the match that he's willing to have Kenny lose so he can get in and fuck up Okada or do whatever. Like, obviously it wasn't going to happen right then and there, but like,
it's going to be
some sort of leverage. Yeah, I can definitely see some tension within the Bullet Club.
My other I had with the match was right at the end where Okada had hit another Rainmaker, probably Rainmaker number 27. I'm not sure how many he hit, but he was going to win the match, but he ran out of time. But it's necessary. I don't know. It made Okada look a little too good at the end. You know,
there's always tension.
In my opinion, to show that they're just so evenly matched that anyone can win on any given day, but they decided, I'm just not going to give up today. And Okada looked like he had the better of him in the end, and he was going to win it, given another 5 seconds.
Yeah, if there was like another minute or so on the timer, he probably would have the booking of it.
It was a fantastic match, but you know,
I thought it was great too.
I don't think it was
I think
5
my favorite
stars.
was the junior. The junior match was easily my favorite of the show, but I still thought it was a really, really good match. Just in a quarter, like our friend Meltzer there, but greatest match of all time? No,
I don't even think it was 5 stars.
I didn't.
I'm almost convinced that he's being paid. Almost convinced by New Japan, because it's insane. You can't give that match 6.25 stars.
I think he's just like, obviously, you know, it's one man's opinion, and if he feels it was the greatest match he's ever seen, like, I'll let him feel that way. He's just like a really big fan of Okada. Like, he's just crazy for Okada. Like, if you're crazy for Okada, that's fine. I think Okada's great as well. I don't go nutty over him, but I still think he's really good. My biggest gripe with the match was that it was so incredibly obvious after around the 30-35 minute mark that they were going for the timer. Like, you could just tell. Like, even though they were only 35 minutes in, and their previous encounter was like around 45-50, you could still get the feeling that they were going to play to the timer, because they didn't really do that in their previous match. Like, they didn't really play it like they were going to go to a draw. It just felt like it was going to end at around the 45-50 minute mark, just because of how much the match was like starting to slow down and really break down. But this match, the pacing was just fucked. Like, it was so start and stop. You're just like, man, are they just going to keep doing this for another, oh my God, they totally are. Like, that's how I felt. Like, once it got to the 35-minute mark, I'm like, are they just going to keep doing this until the timer? And then I clued in. I was like, yes, they are. They're going to keep doing this until they get to the timer. And once they got around the 45-minute mark and it didn't feel like it was wrapping up any, I'm like, yep, this match is going to a draw. So I'm just going to sit here for the next 15 minutes, enjoy the wrestling, and just know what's happening. And by God, it was good. But like once Kenny had dropped out of the Rainmaker and hit the ground, I'm like, yep, this is 1,000,000% happening.
That gave it away. We know the match isn't finishing.
It was still good though. It was still really good. And I still enjoyed the show overall. It was not as good as Wrestle Kingdom because I hate the fact that Tanahashi's still wrestling. I love him. I think he's great. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. Fucked. I think he's gotta chill.
I think he tore his bicep or something, didn't he?
He did. He tore his bicep, and he should, and wrestler or not, would have surgery on that and give it time to heal. But if he does that, it means that he wouldn't have been able to have the IC title. He wouldn't have been able to participate in G1. He wouldn't have been able to do everything. He would have missed out on the whole summer, and he didn't want to do that. He would have missed out on his 5-star match with Billy Gunn. Yeah. Like, exactly. Right. Like, he's going to miss out on that 7-star classic. There's no way he can pass up a match with Billy friggin' Gunn.
Oh, my God. Billy fucking Gunn, man.
Like, I see him retiring at the end of this year just because he's going to destroy his arm.
Or isn't that when everyone ends up retiring through injury? Because they just go too hard?
Oh, it's how it's happening with most people now. They only retire because they have to, not because they want to.
Yeah. There's got to be a line drawn with logic, you know?
The only guys recently who I've heard is just retiring because he's like, I'm old and I want to retire. Like,
I don't remember the last person who did that, actually.
Like, even Taker, even though Taker's really old, he still is like, I'm retiring because my body is beat up and I can't function like a normal person as well.
Well, we don't even know if Taker's really retired.
That's true, too. Like, he claims to be retired, but...
Michael Cole keeps on dropping these hints. Possibly.
The company keeps, like, hinting at him coming back. I'm like, just let him retire!
They always do that just in case he changes his mind, which I doubt he will this time.
No, I don't think so.
You can never tell with Taker.
Taker's really, really old school. Like, if they need him, he'll do it in a heartbeat.
Loyal to the company to just, say no. Like, that's why I have so much respect for Sean for just retiring and staying retired. Like, he hasn't wrestled since his retirement match, and Flair wrestled after his retirement match.
Even Sean said he thought about coming out of retirement to fight AJ. He was just like, no, never mind. I don't want the match to be shit.
The most that Sean has done since his retirement was super kick D-Bry and that's it. Like, and that's not even like, oh, he said he would never come out of retirement. I'm like, being a referee is a lot different because you're not actually like around getting down on your knees, which I think is easy enough for most people to do if they're healthy. And then you super kick D-Bry. Like, that's it. Like, they teased they were like teasing a match, but it was like, no, he's retired. He's not going to do it. Man. Wrestling frustrates me sometimes.
Sometimes.
All the time.
That's the better
what's our time at? I think we're a bit over an hour, yeah?
We're at 1:24.
Okay. Cool. We can bring up another topic or two before saying goodbye for the week. I don't think there's there are a couple of shows coming up, I think. this will be up in time, but I know there's on Friday night there's an ROH pay-per-view, Best in the World. NXT happened as usual. Ono and Black had a great match. You can watch the match if you're interested. You don't have to watch the show. The show itself is okay. I think after having a solid couple of months, NXT is going back into a bit of a slump until their next major show. I don't remember when their next show is.
I think they're having a last man standing match between the women soon.
Yes, there's a last man standing match happening. That's kind of neat. Lucha Underground's still a thing. I still don't watch it. Sorry, people. Although I hear the past couple. I hear they've been doing this like tournament, and the tournament's been shitty, so it hasn't really been worth it. There's lately. Again, we apologize for not having the mailbag because Peef isn't here this week.
Fucking
He better be here next week.
We can touch on the last announced wrestler for the G1.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, I completely forgot about that. Huge news for those of you that didn't hear about it. Kota Ibushi is going to be in the G1.
And guess
and he's not going to be in the. And it's not Tiger Mask W either. It's straight up the Golden Star, Kota Ibushi, which means.
Guess who got the biggest orgasm?
They have to. They cannot be in the same block. Like I know everyone wants to see that match, but
they're gonna be on the same block.
We can't have that match. It's too hype. It's too hype to have it in the G1 block unless it's like the very last night. But even then,
it's gonna happen.
They can't do that match.
It is.
That's a Wrestle Kingdom main event. They can't do that.
I mean, you have
to. That's a WrestleMania main event. You can't do that.
Well, let's
not do that.
That is easily the most hype match of all time that has not happened on a massive scale, not counting DDT yet. Like, oh my God. That's just like so long in the making. Like, oh my God. Meltzer better give that like a big old 7. He probably won't because no Okada. But and for those of you that don't know what we're talking about because we haven't been mentioning it directly, Kenny Okada and Kota Ibushi are like super best friends, and they've had this like ongoing like while being like super best buddies, they've had this very long time feud going in wrestling, and the reason time wrestler in Japan is because of Kota, because he called him out when he was like Kenny was like kind of like a nothing almost, and he called out Kota. He was like, I want to have a big match with you in DDT, and then Kota was like, yeah, bring it on, buddy. And they had a really, really good match. Like their Falls Count Anywhere match is sick. If you can find that somewhere, it's very difficult to find. But if you can, watch it. It's the what I was able to find of it was so good.
Yeah, I only found 8 minutes of it.
Yeah, same here. I found like an 8-minute clip, and it was sick. It was some like Russian website, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I have the link somewhere.
They were also partners for a while. And then they bit of a blow off in DDT, which was good, but it was still not on like a huge stage in comparison to what they could possibly do at like Wrestle Kingdom or something. Oh man, and these two are like really good friends, and I think they want this match, and everybody around them wants this match as well. And now that we're in a situation where they're both active in the company, and Kota is going to be like shedding the Tiger Mask gimmick,
it'll happen.
This match is going to happen. It's just a matter. It's a matter of when, not if.
Like I remember reading somewhere like, read that somewhere. I can't remember.
Wasn't their last interaction was when AJ won the title? The IWPG or whatever you want to call it?
I don't know. I read it this year, really.
I don't remember their last interaction. I just remember an interaction they had where Kenny had Sushi, but he like he regretted it in a way.
Yeah,
like he had distracted.
Yeah,
like
that's
he like
when AJ won the title.
yeah, when AJ won the title, and like Ibushi like felt bad about it too, because he was like, "Yo, I just dogged my best friend. Like I feel like a dick."
And then I think when Kenny won the G1 last year, he used Ibushi's moves, and they asked him about it during the press conference. He's like, "Who?" He was like,
"Yeah,
Kota." He's like, "Who?"
Like playing it off. Oh god, that's gonna be such an emotional match when it finally happens. And the crowd was hyped too. Like when I was watching the video, like them revealing all the entrants, like you could hear like some varied pops. Like Tanahashi being the opener, he got a pretty big pop because Tana being in the G1 is awesome. Who else got pops? Naito got a big pop. Who else got a pop? Juice got a bit of a pop, which is kind of cool. Ibushi was obviously the biggest one because they saved him for last, and he's been doing a lot of weird shit the past like year and a half. So it's cool to see him in this position. I can't remember who else. Kojima got a big pop because he wasn't in it last year because he gave up his spot for so Tenzin could be in one last time. Really cool.
I mean, this G1 doesn't look bad.
What's that?
This G1 doesn't look bad.
It looks really good. I think it's going to be really good. Man, there's going to be some fun matchups this year. I'm really excited to see Juice in it because like Juice, like maybe I too big about Juice, but like I'm so happy that he's just doing well in Japan and that people are behind him and he's taken seriously instead of just being some jobber. God, he's like a genuine mid-card wrestler, and I cannot be like happier for him.
Yeah, he's done really well for himself. Really well.
Yeah, he's like popular. Like he's good too. Like he's actually a good wrestler now. Like
his match with Naito was really good. I really enjoyed it.
That's easily his best match so far, and it was just another feather in Naito's cap. But for Juice, that was really his coming out party. Like, hey guys, I'm a good wrestler. Like, it's not just Naito carrying me. Like, I'm doing some of my own shit. Like when he drove Naito into the apron, like that was brutal. I was like, thank you, Naito, for making him look so good, but he also did stuff himself. So good job, Juice.
I gotta get going. All right, it's been a good podcast. Enjoyed it very much.
This was awesome. Thanks for being on, Ghost. It was good having you on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for being the recording host, Bhris, because Peef couldn't be here because he's apparently got more important things to do.
Yeah, fuck us, right?
And well, we look like the bigger men here. So, and of course, thanks to all of you. Once again, we apologize for not being here last week, but we hope that we did a good enough job here this week. So, on behalf of everyone, thank you guys for listening, and we'll
continue this next week.
We'll see you next week. So, have a good one.